If you've had a pet anytime in your lifetime, especially recently, then you've probably at least heard the term microchip. Though microchips are overwhelmingly positive and really helpful for pet safety, there are so many myths and misconceptions about them out there.
For instance, a lot of people have misconceptions about what a microchip even is. And if you do have it, does that mean your pet is just set? And if they get lost, somebody scans it and all the information is automatically there? There's a lot of things that we realize people don't take into account when it comes to what a microchip is and how one is used.
So we really wanted to debunk some of these false ideas and get the real scoop on microchips. So we reached out to Michelson Found Animals, who established the very first free microchip registry, and asked all of our questions to their director of registry program, Miriam Laibson. Here's what she had to say about what a microchip is and what it isn't.
A microchip is about the size of a grain of rice. It is implanted just under the skin in between the shoulder blades, and it is a passive transponder. So what that means is that it is not actively emitting a signal. It is only when a universal scanner is waved over the pet that the signal is emitted, and all that is sent out is a number. So what a microchip is not, the biggest thing, is a GPS, and that is one of our largest misconceptions. A microchip is not a GPS. There is no way to track the location of a pet through the microchip.
When Miriam says that a microchip is about the size of a grain of rice, she's not kidding. Look at this. Look how tiny it is. You would expect it to be pretty small since it goes inside of your dog or your cat. But for comparison, this is an average size chapstick, lip balm, whatever you want to call it, next to a microchip. And it actually fits right in the bottom there. So it's smaller than your average chapstick diameter.
She also mentioned that the numbers are unique. And I think that's important to emphasize because it's sort of like how, as people, we have social security numbers. Your pet has a microchip number. So it's something you want to keep private, it's yours. And also, you want to make sure that that number is associated with the right information, which means you have to put that information in there. So don't forget, when it's scanned, all you're going to get is a number. So it's a unique number. Keep it private and make sure you've got your information registered so that when it is scanned, whoever has your lost pet can connect you back with them.
And after we started doing all this research on microchips and registries, it occurred to me that I had actually moved recently and I hadn't updated my contact information on either of my dog's microchips. When I logged in to make those changes, I realized that for one of them, I actually had to pay. It was an upgrade to update my address within the registry connected to my dog's microchip. When I adopted my dog Ralph, I didn't really have a choice with what brand of microchip registry. It was done by the rescue, so I didn't really put any consideration in it. But that got me wondering, are there better registries out there? Are there better microchips out there? So we went back to Miriam at Michelson Found Animals to get her take on the differences between microchips and registries, and here's what she said.
So there are multiple registries in the US. The first thing that you want to make sure of before you choose a registry is that they participate in the AHA lookup tool. The AHA lookup tool, which is petmicrochiplookup.org, is an aggregate of all of the US registries except for Avid. And what that means is that if you go to this lookup tool and you type in the microchip number, it will tell you which registry contains the most up-to-date information for that chip. So the first thing that you want to make sure of when you choose a registry is that it participates in AHA, because if it doesn't, then that will impede the chance of your lost pet getting home. Now, when it comes to choosing a microchip, most microchips are fairly the same in terms of how they are built and how they function. There are a few different sizes of chips. There are mini chips, slim chips, standard chips, but the main thing that you want to make sure of is that you are using an ISO standard chip. There are 3 different frequencies. 134.2 kilohertz is the ISO standard frequency, and this means that it is the international standard. So if you chip your pet in America and then you move overseas, that microchip will still be able to be read by any universal scanner.
Frequencies. Let's break that down because there are more than one. There's 125 kilohertz, there's 128 kilohertz, And there's the standard, and what you do want if you have the choice of 134.2 kilohertz. That's the one that's recognized everywhere. And nowadays, most veterinarians and shelters, they'll have universal scanners, and so you should be able to get any kilohertz picked up. But it's important for you to know, because if you don't have that 134.2, you want to know what you do have just in case. And if you have a choice, you should get that, because then you just know it will be read by any scanner.
But now that your pet is microchipped and you've picked the right microchip and the right registry, you can't just stop there. Understanding those differences is just a start. But I'll let Miriam tell us how we can actually complete the microchipping and pet identification process.
So when you first bring home a new pet that is already microchipped, hopefully the adopting organization will give you the paperwork. But just in case they don't, as long as you have that chip number, you can register that chip with any registry in the US. So the first thing that we would say is, even before you check that chip, get a collar and a tag for your pet, because pets are most likely to get lost in those first few days at home. So if you bring home a new pet, before you even do anything, put on a collar and a tag. After you do that, take the chip number that you were given at the time of adoption, or you can take your pet to be scanned by almost any veterinarian or even shelter. Call first during COVID, of course, to make sure that they're open. But you can take your pet to almost any vet or shelter and they will scan your pet for free. So if you're unsure of your pet's microchip number, or you just want to be extra sure because they can be up to 15 digits long and it's really easy to make a typo, then take your pet to get scanned. So once you have a collar and a tag for your pet and you know the microchip number, you want to register that chip as soon as possible, because again, pets are most likely to get lost in those first few days that they come home and everything is new. They don't know really what their home is or where it is, and they're confused. So you want to make sure that you've done everything possible to make sure that if your pet were to become lost during that first week, you can get it home with the collar, the tag, and the registered chip. Of course, I will say Michelson Found Animals registry is free. And because of that, we are online only, so you can do everything online. But it would not be responsible of me to not point out that there are other registries in the US. They are all fantastic. Some are paid, some are not, but we all have the same goal of getting lost pets home.
Okay, so let's get specific. If you're sitting there and you're like, wait, my pet has a microchip and I have the number, but I don't know if the information is up to date or how I should even go about updating it. Where do I start? The first place you should go is to the website petmicrochiplookup.org. It's a site owned by the American Animal Hospital Association. It's a free lookup tool. You can go there, assuming you have your microchip number, and you can put it in. It will tell you what registry you are registered with, and then you can go to that registry to get your information up to date. If you don't know your microchip number, we'll get back to that in a minute. But remember, petmicrochiplookup.org. That's where you can go and put your chip in to find out the registry that leads you to the registry. And then there in the registry, you can get your information up to date.
And if you don't know if your pet has a microchip, or if you've misplaced the rescue documentation and are just unsure of the brand or microchip number, don't worry, because there's a really easy solution. You can take your pet to any vet and pretty much any shelter or rescue that has a microchip scanner. As Chloe mentioned, though, one tip is to make sure that they're using a universal scanner, just in case your pet's chip has a less common frequency. And if they are using a universal scanner and you're pretty sure that your pet is chipped, then I would recommend asking the vet or operator to move the scanner around your pet's back, neck, even upper arms, just to check to see if the chip has migrated. It's rare, but microchips can migrate a bit, so it's best to check a wide range of area. And one of the things that I do for my pets is on their annual exams, I always have our vets just check and make sure that their chips are where we expect them to be.
And remember, when you get your pet scanned, you're only getting a number. The scanner is going to find the chip and give you a number, and that's it. And it's up to you, and you can go back to that petmicrochiplookup.org to put the number in and see where you're registered so that you can get your information up to date. We hope that you learned something new and took away some new tips, and that your pet's microchip will be all up to date after this, or maybe you need to get your pet microchipped. And if we did teach you something, or you have something else to share, let us know below. We want to hear your comments.
And if you love learning fun facts about the pets and animals that you love through short videos just like this one, be sure to subscribe to our channel.